They say when a baby is born, so is a mother. But while you are there to help your baby grow into the person he or she is meant to be, who is there to help you? Many women feel lost and alone when they become mothers, wondering, who am I now? Sometimes it feels like the transformation from woman to mother is as radical as a caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. Did you know that inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally turns into goop before it rearranges itself into a butterfly? This podcast is about the goop, what soul transformation looks like as you transition from being a woman to a mom. Your baby's growth matters, but yours does too. You're not alone. I'm your host, Brittany Ming. Welcome to the Motherhood Metamorphosis. Welcome everyone to this episode of the Motherhood Metamorphosis. My name is Brittany Ming, your host, and today we're talking to Lauren Elise Rogers. She is a certified holistic sexuality educator and the owner of Sex Ed for You, where she provides comprehensive sexuality education. After a decade in maternal health, Lauren returned to school to obtain a certification in holistic sex education with the Institute for Sexuality Education and Enlightenment, whose program is approved by the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. Unlearning and expanding thought patterns can be challenging and vulnerable. By combining her decade of program development with her passion for transformative education, Lauren now specializes in creating containers that allow students to sit safely in discomfort while developing the tools necessary to support pleasurable and safe sexual experiences free of coercion, discrimination, and violence. Lauren, thank you so much for being here today.
I am so happy to be here.
So we had you on the podcast a couple years ago where we did talk about sex, and that episode is amazing, and I'm going to link it in the bio so people can listen to it. But today we are talking about menstruation. This is a passion of yours. It is also a passion of mine, and a topic that I feel like we don't talk about enough. And so I'm so glad that you are here to just dive into menstruation for modern moms and just give us some wisdom and some new ways to think about this.
Thank you. I am so happy to talk about this. It's a thing that I feel so integrates into the work I do with sexual health and reproduction. And I think we don't approach it from a mindful manner enough. And I think that we get frustrated with our menstruating bodies more often than we embrace it. So very happy to be here.
Yes. I think about, there's those funny memes out there where they say, I'm moody, my face is breaking out, I yelled at my boyfriend, and then like the next day I started bleeding. And then it's like every single month that we're surprised that we're menstruating. And even though if we've been menstruating for 15, 20 years, why are we surprised?
Yes,
Every
no,
single month.
it's all out there, and we'll get into this a little bit, but I think that in our striving for egalitarian living, that I think so often people with uteruses who menstruate every month is somewhere in our heads, in the back of our minds, the patriarchy is still controlling, and we still really want to be men. And so it's like, darn it, it's here again. So yeah, we're going to talk about my angle of this because you're right. The memes are everywhere, right? Why am I irritated at everyone? Oh, I started bleeding.
Yeah. So I wonder if we can just open this and let's talk about messages of shame and silence about menstruation, even now in 2024, where we think we have more enlightenment, more understanding of the female body, more openness to conversating about these topics than ever before. Why is it still so hard to talk about it, even amongst our friends or with our partners or with our kids?
I kind of have two different theories on this. One, we don't have many rites of passage, any rituals that move us from girl to woman. Okay, so that's number one. I think our culture is uncomfortable with the female form, with female sexuality. And so we'd like to infantilize women, right? We'd like to keep them little girls forever. So I think that's number one, is that by nature, a menstruating person is therefore fertile, is therefore able to draw a mate to herself when she's ovulating, right? Like that is the essence of female power to me. So that's number one. And then number two, I think in our quest for equality, we have somehow equated equality with, oh, well, we just want to all be like men. And this is what I was referencing earlier. So I think it's a twofold approach of, well, men in the workplace don't have to think about if they have menstrual product trash cans inside of the stalls, right? So, well, I don't want to say anything. I'll just hush hush, right? A friend was telling me she had to leave work 2 days ago, again, because she bled through her our clothes. I've done it many, many, many times. I have a very heavy flow. They just make us uncomfortable because I think deep in our souls, we're like, oh, why can't I just be like a man? So that's my twofold approach is one, it is the definition of our sexuality. Two, in our quest for equality, we've somehow mistaken it as we just want to be like men.
I really like that you talked about being like men. And I think that there are different ways of looking at energy. Maybe a good metaphor is like a solar energy, which maybe comes off as male, bright all the time, shines all day, doesn't have to take any breaks. They're like the sun shines.
Mhm.
Versus a female energy, where we could use the metaphor of the moon, a moon that waxes and wanes, where and maybe this is not, I've thought this is not the maybe the energy that a woman experiences her whole life because there is a period for fertility peak where we menstruate. And, 30, maybe 40 years of our lives is in this lunar energy cycle of waxing and waning. When we go through menopause, I'm not there yet, but I'm learning wisdom from older women. Maybe our energy will shift. But in this period of fertility, where we do experience menstruation on a regular basis, our energy is not solar energy. This bright, always on, all the time, doesn't have to take breaks. It goes up and it goes down. And I think that's so hard for us to accept.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Love that analogy. Beautiful. I want to throw back another analogy that I think you will appreciate as an author. Um, what I have chosen to start to view my menstrual cycle as is an opportunity to edit my story. Let me give some context here. Before I entered into this work, I would rage against my menstrual cycle. Okay. And so then I went through a divorce and it was just me and my body. And, I would then grieve every time I'd get a period and think, this is so frustrating because here I am as a single, unsexed woman, even, right? Like it was just all this rage at the female body. And it got to a point, Brittany, where I was like, I've had it. Like, this is something that I need to reconcile with. And so I started my deep dive and I found this way of looking at menstruation mindfully, this way of truly asking myself these deep questions every month of what no longer serves me. What friendships am I holding on to that need to be released? What did I try last month that I don't need to keep trying? What didn't work? And what I truly embraced was the editing process that every author goes through, right? When they write a manuscript, it goes through countless editing processes. And we never despise the author. We're not like you're a poor author because your first draft wasn't perfect. And so I have chosen to embrace this. I loved the waxing and waning, right? Of this opportunity to slow the frick down and to say, what if I don't need to be this constant shining sun? What if the world benefits from me taking a pause, from me sitting back and reflecting on what did I do this month? What if that is the greatest gift I can give to my family and to my clients and to my colleagues? That I'm not a person who just never reflects, never looks at what is going on internally. And instead, every month, and I bleed every 24 days. So mine is even more regular. There's an edit that is done and that I now do not compromise on. So I love the waxing and waning. And I also love to encourage individuals to, in whatever analogy, look at, oh, well, wait a second. What if this pause is healthy? And
Mhm.
what would that mean for me?
Yeah, I really like that. But there's also social pressure for moms to always be on all the
Yes.
time. I think that we feel that pressure so much, especially when we think, oh, I can't rest during my period. I've got little ones. How do you think we can apply? You use this. I'm going to share this resource that you sent to me called Mindful Meditation. I hope we can. And maybe it's if we
I
sign up
have,
for your,
yeah, no, I will give you a code for just a 2-page PDF download. Yes,
that's
I will.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Lauren has this amazing PDF that she's put together that I actually stole her title from, Mindful Menstruation. But it's so good. Please sign up for it. But you have this slide that talks about womb wisdom. And I was wondering if you could define that. And how can we apply womb wisdom to the idea that moms maybe don't have to be on 110% of the time?
Now, so amazing question. I love talking about this. I will say that I have been called out, and I love teacher student call outs on those who've had hysterectomies, those who have truly felt disconnected and almost as if their womb is not an ally. So I want to always say if this theory doesn't serve you, throw it away. This is an opinion. This is an idea. Throw it away. Skip this part. Go to something else. So I do want to attune to that. Womb wisdom means, and I encourage every one of Brittany's listeners to do this, put your hand on your lower belly. Really tune in. It's so funny that we're doing this right now because I'm about to start menstruating in 2 days. And so I am so aware of this piece of me. Our culture loves a flat belly, right? Our culture loves to obsess over the skinny white girl. And I think that it starts, womb wisdom begins with honoring this piece of our body, with honoring the area in which our womb resides. Then take it a step further. What if our wombs are not our enemy? What if they're our ally? What if they are saying, hey, please listen to me. Please prepare. Please let go. Please relinquish. I am trying to bleed. There are other things that you need to let go of too. I also, as a sexuality educator, of course, believe that the womb has wisdom to draw us to those whom we desire to be sexually active with and those whom we do not desire to be sexually active with. I think I work with so many people who will say, well, my libido is just so low, right? And I'll say, or what if your womb is just wise? What if your body doesn't desire to be penetrated by that energy source, right? Maybe there's some wiser questions here. And maybe, again, as we've been saying over and over, this patriarchal lens that so much of our sexuality and reproduction and menstruation verbiage is born through, maybe we need to throw that away. Maybe that's the problem. And maybe coming home to our own wombs that live in our own bodies is truly beautiful. In my mindful menstruation course, like the whole course that I teach, that Brittany has seen the slide, she's gotten like the inside peek. I'll talk about all these other cultures that have literal rituals for women. We some of us have read about this red tent idea. I did a deep dive into biblical times of it wasn't that women were cast out of the city because they were unclean. It was that women were allowed to, invited to come respite outside of the city. They were viewed so powerful as their blood fell to the earth that heavens, they should not be touching the meals. Heavens, we should be treating them like goddesses, right? That they were to be with other women, communing, rubbing each other, being loved, sitting lusciously on these like pads, being treated like goddesses because they were viewed so powerful during this time. Like, oh, they were closer to our sacral energy in their time of menstruation. And I love it so much, that reframing of what if it isn't that we're weaker? What if it's that we're more powerful and we need to be removed?
I think just reframing our thoughts around menstruation can just be life changing. So maybe if someone's hearing this for the first time, I just want you to be like,
Yeah,
and just let
exactly,
it sit
right?
with you for a little
Like,
bit.
I understand. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I wanna speak to the little ones concept too,
Yeah.
right? So what was fascinating is I realized that in my quest to make my period so like no one needed to know, I had robbed myself of an opportunity to ask for help and receive help, okay? That's on me. I needed to come to an understanding of it's actually not kinder to my household to be a snarky, mean, irritable, exhausted mom and partner.
Mhm.
That's on me. So it does take a little foresight to know, to have a tracking app on our phones or in a calendar, to have this wherewithal to say, oh, okay, this day I'm going to be menstruating. Okay, what help do I need to gather around me? Here's the beautiful thing. I now have a 13-year-old daughter who bleeds, and she has gotten to witness this since she was 7 years old. These new, like, rituals I have put into place for myself. One of them is a bath on the first day of my period and a hamburger because I crave iron. And I know there are non meat eaters out there, but I crave red meat. Okay. So my whole family knows now, Brittany, and it is the sweetest thing in the world because I shaped it. I got bold enough to say, can I have help? I need rest today. And this is how I would like to take it, but this is the help I'm going to need. Can I have help unloading the dishwasher? I would like to not make dinner. Can we get pre-formed patties, right? Or can we get takeout that's a burger, whatever our budgets afford? And then now my family will be like, have you gotten your bath yet? Or the other day, yeah, they brought me a hamburger in the bathtub because it's such a ritualistic piece of our home. It is not hush hush. It is, she is in her power. She needs more rest. She is bleeding. She needs to let go of these things. And it's just so cool that, yeah, this is a whole family thing. I know little ones, it can be hard. I also think we can be better at asking for help and resting in those times in between and canceling a date with a friend to say, hey, I'm bleeding today and I really want to cuddle up with a journal. My body is craving stillness and I want to put a movie on for the kiddos and like sit on the floor and roll my hips back and forth, right? Or we all take a bath together. Like there are so many ways that we can embrace this, even with little ones around.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I like that you said I didn't always do this and then I had to make changes because I've thought about, okay, what has been my journey or my, way I've interacted with my menstruation throughout my marriage. I've been married for almost 18 years. And I've thought like how in the last 3 years, because we're done having kids, because my period was interrupted so much through pregnancy and
Yes.
breastfeeding. And so I don't think my husband or my kids really interacted with it that much because I have 5 children. I breastfed all of them for a long time. And so it's really been in the last 3 years that I've had more regular periods. And also as I'm getting to my late 30s, early 40s, my period has gotten harder on my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And so I think that as we go through our fertility cycles, whether we're pregnant, we're breastfeeding, we start menstruating again, we get older, we have heavier cycles, maybe experiencing more like heavy hormones. I've started getting menstrual migraines. That's become part of my PMS like several days before. So I realized that if I can take care of my body better, I have to communicate more to my husband and to my kids because I am not well during my period. And I've had to say, I have a really bad headache today. It's hormones, or my husband. And so even this month, I just finished my bleeding. I am like 4 days post menstrual cycle. But when I started, he was like, okay, I'll take care of dinner tonight. And
Mhm.
he always takes care of dinner on Fridays and Saturdays, but this was like Sunday, Monday, where I normally cook again. And he's like, okay, I've got dinner tonight. And so, but that has happened over these last few years where I have made the choice to say, I need to be more verbal about this and my needs and say I have to accept my own limitations during this time.
Yeah. How did it feel when you expressed a need and then he gave you the gift of cooking dinner? How did it feel to receive that?
I think it felt humbling and it felt vulnerable because
Mhm.
I think that that honesty requires vulnerability. Accepting it felt also like being held, and accepting my own needs and limitations also helps me to hold myself tenderly. So it's like the duality of that.
It's gonna make me cry, right? What Brittany just exemplified, okay, is this concept of allowing our partners to serve us. But that starts, an act of service always originates from the one who is going to accept the gift. I work with countless people who say, ugh, my husband, right? Ugh, this mental load, ugh, all these things. I just want him to figure it out. And I hear, and I think we have raised a generation of men, sadly, who were not asked and shown how to do these things. But people, the onus lies on the shoulders of the one who needs to ask for help. And it is hard. And then it is so beautiful to allow ourselves. It's so interesting that you use the word humbling, right? Because the root word is hummus, and that means to be of the earth, right? And when we're bleeding, it's technically putting us the closest to the earth. I've also had to unpack, and this is a big word, and this is often like a very polarized word, but the concept of ableism. I've had to really dig into my soul of, wait, whose bodies am I putting up on a pedestal? Right? Who says that I need to be so strong and so phallic centered and so, yes, sun centered at all times? What is this conveying? What is this conveying to my children, to my husband, to the world, that I only value bodies who can output like that? Right. And so it has been a really good challenge for me too to say, wait, what if I'm worthy even when I'm weak? What if I deserve love? And what if the way to model, especially you're raising like people in male bodies, right, who may go on to be partnered to women? What if you're showing them how to love their future wives and partners regardless of their like abilities, right? It's mind blowing. And way to go, my friend, way to go. In sex school, we learned this phrase, and I just love it. And Brittany alluded to this earlier. I used to believe, then I learned, now I think. And so, for all of this crazy stuff that Brittany and I are like tossing out to you today, it is okay to change your belief on a thing. It is okay to make an informed decision based upon new information. And so, it's okay to go to your partner or your spouse and say, hey, I know I've really never talked about this, but I listened to Brittany's podcast today and I learned about this. And I used to believe this. Now I've learned and now I'm thinking it's okay. Like it's okay to introduce these things. I know it's awkward, but yeah, my kid was 7 before I started doing all of this. And yes, if you are also, reestablishing a menstrual cycle post childbirth, post breastfeeding, it's okay. Like you can introduce new things.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I still now, even when I tell my husband, like, I'm about my period, I feel that emotional shift in him where he kind of like pulls back a little bit, but he still tries to be engaged. So it's not like it's like this 100% comfortable thing where he's like, oh, honey, I just love like taking care of you on your menstrual cycle. Like he's not like that. It still feels a little weird, And that's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to ask
Yes.
for help when it's weird.
Yes. I say this all the time that discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. Whenever we learn a new skill, we are uncomfortable in the beginning. If you wanted to go take pottery classes, you would be a bad potter in the beginning. Okay. It doesn't say anything if it's awkward and clunky in the beginning. I just always encourage folks to see if it aligns with their values. If it's a values based choice, right? Brittany is coming into this place where she's like, no, I'm not going to be a martyr over here anymore. That doesn't mean it's just going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's going to be awkward and clunky, and that's okay. It's okay. It's kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's okay.
I will also say that I have teenage sons. And I have 4 boys, so I am not living in, like, a female household. I have a lot of men in my household, and they don't deal with this, but my son I've been trying to just open that door a little bit, and so my son will be like, "Mom, how was your day?" And so this last week, I said, "Well, I started my period today, and I'm feeling really tired." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I think it doesn't have to be more than that. Being honest about like this is what it's like to live with a woman. Even with if this woman is your mom. Like this is a natural way to look at the other half of humanity. And it's not male centric. Like there's also this female body that
Mhm.
requires different rhythms. And so introducing them to that is my goal.
Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Because think about if, the world continued on, you never mentioned it to all of these boys, and they go on to be with a person who menstruates. And they're like, "Oh, my mom never talked about this," right? This is how we perpetuate that "ooh" response.
Yeah.
The "ooh" response is developmentally normal because it's new, it's different, it is very appropriate for middle schoolers and under, this "ooh" response, because they are not to the age where they're interacting with this yet. It's totally normal when you're telling your kids about sexual interactions, when you're talking about menstruations when they're little to be "ooh." What we would hope is over time, the more appropriately exposed to these subject matters that men are, young boys are, that they would totally see it. It's just part of the life cycle. And to that point, it's so fascinating that my now husband grew up with a single mom, and she was very open about menstruation always. And so, from literally the moment we met, he would offer, like, hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need any tampons? Like, he was just so, so comfortable with it always. And wow, like he always says, like, the bar is so low for men, right? So I don't want to be like, wow, look at these super men you're raising. No, you're raising humans. Well done, Brittany. Very proud of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's just so many ways. Also with my daughter, and I'm sure you can have a story about this too. Like I have been more open with her, and maybe I have made a conscious choice to do that. But I let her come into the bathroom with me more than I did with my boys. We went to the library, we went to the bathroom, and there was they have a free pad
Good.
kiosk on the wall, which
Uh-huh.
is awesome. And she's like, Mommy, what is that? And I was like, those are pads when you have your period. And she's like, oh, she's 4. She's like, you don't need those right now because you don't have your period. I was like, you're right, I don't, but I will have my period in a couple weeks. And she's like, yeah, and then you could use those pads if you needed to. I'm like, right, they're free for anybody to use pads. So those are the type of conversations I'm having with my daughter. And I know it feels weird because sometimes you could be like, oh, those are for ladies. We don't need to worry about that. Sometimes when she opens the little trash can in the stall, I'm like, let's not get into that. That's for people to throw away your trash. But I think that you can open different conversations with your kids about these things because they are visible in daily life.
Yes, and it's not shameful, right? Let's talk about that for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Where is that messaging coming from in our bodies, right? And parents who are listening to this, do a little work. Where's the origin of that shame story?
Hmm.
Because we have no reason to be ashamed of our menstrual cycles. None.
Right.
None. And if that origin story doesn't align with your values right now, do some work to release it. Work with a, I don't know, sexuality educator. Work with someone who can really help you realign that. Because this is how we, without like choice, just kind of accidentally continue to perpetuate shame in our daughters. And yeah, no, my daughter would tell everyone in elementary school that when she gets her period, she's going to be allowed to not go to school if she wants. And her teacher sent me a long email. It was so cute because it was like third or fourth grade. And she was like, Beatrice and I just had the most fascinating conversation about menstruation and about how the first few days, what the body needs to do, like third grade, my friends, and that she'll get days off. And all the kids were like, that's not fair. My mom wouldn't let me take days off. She just said, I want you to know that your daughter just gave like a whole educational spiel about menstruation. And then wouldn't you know, when she started, just like Brittany is saying, with, some people call it a second spring or second puberty, when one starts to enter perimenopause and menopause, it often feels so similar to entering into puberty. And
Hmm.
so these first few menstrual cycles of hers have been really tough and draining, emotional. And she has skipped several days of school and done homework from her computer in her bed with a heating pad, right? Taking baths, doing Epsom salts, getting all the iron and loving on her body. I refuse this whole idea. It's again, it is such like a white American thing to do. This idea, we talk about period poverty in other countries, and I am very invested in this conversation. But when we're like, girls are missing school, I'm like, please stop Americanizing everything. Some of these cultures honor the menstruating body and they choose to let their daughters stay home from school. I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast remembers stories of being menstruating in school and like you're in excruciating pain sitting there at a desk thinking like I can't even focus. What is wrong with our society? To your point, Brittany, that like we're making half of humanity just function like men. Like this, we've got to change the story. It's not
Yeah.
us who are broken. It is our cultures and our systems. And it just, yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, I think that I prepared all these questions beforehand, but I think we're answering all of them as we talk. But I just wanted to throw this one out there and then we can continue everything we're saying. But how can we better respect our bodies by honoring the natural rhythms of our menstrual cycle? Like, how can we just be more mindful of it if somebody's like, I have never thought about this before? Like, what are some ways that we can honor these natural rhythms?
Yeah. So let's go. This is in the PDF handout that I was mentioning that will be available through the notes and Brittany's thing. Um, let me just walk you through how I have eventually, like the system I have made, my mindful menstruation system, 5 to 7 days prior to the date that your period is going to begin, which is the start of your menstrual cycle, right? So it's the first day of bleeding to the next first day of bleeding. You're going to start to experience breast tenderness, exhaustion, sadness, anxiety, sensuality sometimes because there's greater blood flow to the genitals. Everything's like getting prepped. What I encourage anyone to do in this time, this is usually PMS, premenstrual syndrome, when you're getting a little more agitated with the world. I encourage everyone I work with to write these things down. Don't ignore them. So many people will roll their eyes and say, oh, she's just being dramatic, or oh, it must be almost that time of the month. What I would say is Honoring our wound wisdom, honoring our bodies is to say, wait, what if I'm not crazy? What if this is just my true feelings amplified? What if I have smushed down the truth for 20 something days and my body is like, darn it, we are coming out. Okay. Now, this is not the time I would not teach to act on these things. This is the time to write down every single freaking thing that's frustrating you. Literally, write it all down. If it comes, do a voice memo, do a notes in your phone, do whatever you need to. Don't like go change the world at this time. Just write it down, honor it, give it space. Okay. So that's leading up to. Then day one is my day of release. I teach every individual to really go with their body. Literally, what do you need to let go of, my love? What friendships, what attachments, what work commitments, right? What do you just need to let go of? We have such this like pride in this culture of like, wow, she's not a quitter. Like, quit. What do you want to quit? What do you want to let go of? Let it go. Cry, weep, journal, take baths. Okay. That's day one. Day two is I call my laughing day, my giggly day. This is the day that I do not want you to take yourself too seriously. I want you to like literally watch all the funny movies, watch the rom-coms, laugh. It is the day that I like every meme on the internet makes me die with laughter. I bet I could do like a tracking, everybody like sends reels to their partner, poor partners who have to get all these like funny memes. I like luxuriate in it. Funny stuff, just the funny stuff and giggle at yourself. Sometimes we have a lack of spatial awareness when we're menstruating. So like if you run into a doorway, giggle. I don't know, giggle, play on the floor with your kiddos. Just don't take yourself too seriously. Then we start to enter into day three. Day three, you might start feeling this like breath and space, especially if you've taken these first 2 days to do this. So start to dream. Again, not the time to do anything, not the time at all to do anything, but start to dream. Okay, all those things that irritated you that maybe you let go on the first day, what is it now giving space for? So start to journal about these things. Talk with your partner about dreams that you have. Talk with your kids about dreams. Brainstorm, have fun, and luxuriate in it. Day four, I say always that I think our bodies naturally crave being in nature or moving again. There's just something that happens that's starting the reacclimation into society. So sometimes that might be going on a walk with your kids, going to the park and pushing the stroller. Sometimes that's craving some yoga. I will have people be like, I don't even like yoga. And all of a sudden I want to stretch on like day four. Yeah. This is listening to the mindfulness of your body. And then also, if you can get outside, if that's accessible to you, do it. Sometimes I will find myself like there's a sunbeam coming in here in the window in front of me, like wanting to just be in the sun. If you all of a sudden feel like you're a cat, like go with it. I swear it is the body naturally pulling you back to the world, right? You have been apart. Good. Now you start to follow the rhythm back. Day five, I call my day of thankfulness. This is the day to look at the things that irritated you. Did you let them go? Are they part of that? Like, did your body solve it on its own? Be thankful for all of the goodness so that as you re enter the atmosphere, I always think it's kind of like you've taken a trip to the moon and now you're coming back into the atmosphere, that you're entering with a sense of gratitude for your own body's wisdom, right? We haven't hated our body for 5 days, and some people bleed longer. They do. So you can stretch this out. It could be day 5 to 7. What type of position of gratitude could you have for yourself instead of, oh my gosh, right? Like, I didn't vacuum that room that I thought I was going to because we rested, we set apart. Right? How could we be thankful? Who could we thank? Right? If your spouse did cook dinner, can you go up and give kisses and say thanks so much? If your boys got some tampons from the upstairs bathroom, right, and pulled them down, say thank you. Try to look around you at who did help you during this time and how can you be thankful. So that's my little mindful thing. Then we enter all the other phases of the cycle. But for the time that you're bleeding, this, my friends, has revolutionized my life. Like, legitimately revolutionized my life.
I love that you have formulated this whole idea and that you're sharing it with people because I think that we can dread our periods. We feel guilty that we're not productive. Maybe we're in a lot of pain and we mentally get we get depressed, your anxiety increases. And I think that changing our mindset and maybe just employing one of these suggestions that you said, maybe laughing more, maybe giving ourselves permission to rest, that can just revolutionize our thinking. And even if you are a person who has a lot of cramps, you're a person who gets headaches, you're a person who is just debilitatingly exhausted, letting yourself know this is not forever. I'm going to come out of this. This is my normal cycle. And in a few days, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to want to stretch. I'm going to want to be outside. That can help us mentally realize that the cycles that we go through, even if they include physical pain or exhaustion, are not going to be forever. And we don't have to beat ourselves up for our body's natural rhythms.
No, not at all. And this is just personal anecdotes and things that clients have shared with me who have put these into practice. I also can get debilitating cramps and crazy headaches. I find that they are worse when I try to ignore my cycle. I am not saying that this is scientifically backed, my friends, but when we attune to our bodies, when I feel the headache coming on, and I slow the frick down and I cancel a plan and I get in my cozy PJs and I snuggle up into my bed and I love on myself. Wouldn't you know? Okay. The self-compassion that starts with this to us of I am not broken. Will not last forever. Brittany is so correct. This will end. This is good for me, is life changing. I have been known on especially hard cramp days when, the ibuprofen's not even helping, the things aren't helping, to literally moan and rock in my bathtub and say, like, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to let go of? And weep and cry. And I will say, again, this is anecdotal evidence. My hardest cycles come after seasons of loss. I lost a really good friend in late August. My period, the next cycle was unworldly. And it was if my body was saying, hey, we really need to grieve the death of your friend. Do we get to? Like, do we get to? Right? This amplification of our emotions is not like it's not bad. We don't need to be these like little people all the time. I know it's hard. And Brittany's exactly right. It's not going to last forever.
I love that you say amplification of our emotions because so many people, there's this narrative in our culture that say, like, oh, I was just PMSing. That's what created whatever it was. That's why I was angry. That's why I was annoyed. That's why I was irritated. And I'm like, your hormones don't reveal anything that's not already there. It just maybe
Ding
turns the
ding.
volume up.
Yes. No, that is, oh my God. Talk about a patriarchal statement. And one of my favorite things is to say, wait. Is this the matriarchy upholding the patriarchy? Okay. Female listeners, do not be the matriarchy upholding the patriarchy. We have so many little quips like that. Oh, I was just PMSing. I didn't really mean it. Ah, no, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And we could attune and we could go internally and say, ooh, whoa, do I need to cut that relationship out? Do I need to change some patterns? Right? Or we could cough it. What are we talking? Yeah, it's exactly what Brittany said. It is not fake. It is not imaginary. It is just an amplification. And I think we spend a lot of time suppressing truth.
Yep. Yeah. I wrote something in our notes, the phrase power through versus power down. And this is something that an older friend shared with me. And she's like, what if I don't have to power through? Like, I just have to get through this hard time. I just have to like grit my teeth and like keep doing all the things I do. What if we gave ourselves permission to power down? And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Be like, like I'm just gonna turn it down and I'm gonna power down. And that doesn't mean we don't have responsibilities. It doesn't mean that we just like slough off everything that we have to do in our lives. It means we give ourselves permission to look at our lives and say, what can I let go of today? How can I quiet my life a little bit so that I can take care of myself more?
Right. I'll often have folks say, okay, Lauren, this is a great, day by day process, but I have toddlers or I have a job. What am I supposed to do? And it's just what Brittany said. It's giving ourselves permission. So instead of spending the whole day angry at ourselves, right, that we didn't feel up to going to the park. And instead, we put a rice bin on the floor and we laid on the floor on a heating pad. What if instead of being bitter at ourselves, I'm such a bad mom, what if instead we stroked ourselves gently with our hands and said, you're doing a really good job, honey. Like, wow, what a great mom you are to exemplify self care for your little ones as they crawl around and give you kisses, right? And bring you another blanket. What if we just give ourselves this permission to power down? I love this, instead of power through. And who are we powering through for? I There is plenty of time. My friends, there's plenty of time. It's there is no rush. This is all capitalism that's gotten stuck in our heads that like we need to do more faster. What? No. How about we just lay on the floor and aren't angry at our little ones, right? What if we don't go to library hour because we just want to sit instead, right? I You have permission, and we are the ones who hold the permission so tightly. Brene Brown has this theory of writing permission slips. And if you need to do that for yourself, do it. I do it all the time. And every morning, you have permission to fill in the blank. We are not victims in this patriarchal narrative, but we have to pick up the pen and write a different story.
Yeah. I think also we can feel like, I think the narrative shift can come where we feel like I'm victim to my period. Like
Yes.
it's taking me down and I can't live my life the way I wanted to. And I think instead we have to become friends with our femaleness or our womb wisdom, whatever body you're living in. I think you have to say, this is a natural, normal cycle, and I don't have to be on all the time. I can have
No.
that waxing and waning energy.
Yeah. And I will say, if your periods are yeah, there is help, right? We also live in a world where so many of us were exposed to so many hormones and plastics and other things way early. And some folks have literally debilitating periods, right? So do always seek medical help. I want to be really clear. I am a sexuality educator. These are all beautiful insights. And I believe in the power of modern medicine too. I do not think anyone needs to suffer to the point of extremes. So please, please, please hear us. And and I also think that we like to overdiagnose in this culture. And we like to be like, oh, well, we can put you on birth control. Oh, well, we can take your periods away. Okay. Y'all, there's a ton of scientific evidence that that's not good for us. Okay. So please, if you have debilitating periods, yes, seek out healthcare professionals, do lots of other stuffs, look at holistic nutrition, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of stuff to do. And maybe give it a cycle or two to see if you start attuning to yourself. Ooh, are they not as debilitating? We owe it to ourselves to track and to really give it a shot, then take the next steps. Of course, I always want to be really clear that endometriosis is a thing, and there are incredibly nuanced healthcare concerns that people should also look into.
Yes, I love that. So we've kind of touched on this, but I just wanted to read this little narrative question that I wrote. Let's say a woman is listening today who has a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and an 11-month-old baby, and she just started her period and was caught by surprise. She has a headache, cramps, and is exhausted. What practical encouragement could you give her today?
Mm. I would say take a deep breath. Ah, I think that so quickly we jump to, okay, how am I going to handle this? So, first and foremost, I would want you to mourn the ending of a season. It's okay to be a little, oh, right? Like I've really enjoyed not having a period for these 2 years that I was breastfeeding. That's okay. Like that's okay. So, first, give yourself a moment to grieve what was. And now let's start to really decide how in this season, because we get to be the authors of these seasons, how we want to do things differently now, right? So if this period caught you by surprise, you're out in public, you get to say, you know what, we're packing up and we're going home. You get to tell a friend, you get to text your partner and say, hey, I'm going to need some extra support tonight. This just happened. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing shameful about your bleeding. I would encourage you to get into cozy, tactile things as quickly as possible because you deserve extra nurturing today. Just like if your little one, that 4-year-old, falls down and gets a boo boo, and you hug and kiss and you give all of the love, this deserves extra love. This idea that, like, oh, well, I'm an adult now. And so, like, I should be what I should have known, right? What was I thinking? Like, baby's been sleeping through the night. I didn't even think about the fact, right? That we'd weaned to the point that probably I was going to go to cycle. Stop it. No. But nope, nope. Just love, just care, just nurturance first and foremost. Because if you start giving that self compassion to yourself, it's going to be modeled. If you tell your wonderful partner, hey, started my menstrual cycle, I just want to be really gentle with myself today. Chances are your loving spouse will say, it's a really good idea. How can I support you? Right? Instead of, I'm just so angry. They don't know what to do. They're not bleeding. Let this be an opportunity to change the story, get in cozy clothes, take a bath if you're able, take a shower if you can't, movies, get in bed with your kiddos, right? Do some lots of snuggles, so many snuggles. Take advantage of these little bodies who love cuddles with mama, or shut yourselves in a playroom so that they can't escape. I was so loved gated playgrounds and rooms with doors where I could just be and they couldn't run away. Just know that it's okay to be gentle and it's okay to be compassionate right now. This might not be the cycle where you try all the new things. Maybe download this mindful menstruation sheet and start to look it over, but this doesn't need to be an overnight transformation. I love on Spotify and Apple Music and all the things, there are like sound bath, like sounds that you can do. I usually really love just some like tonal stuff. I really love like bass notes. So maybe, not Flippy and all like the Paw Patrol. I don't know. Let your kids watch it and you put in some earbuds or something that allow you to listen to some really grounding sounds. Feed your body, drink lots of water, and then let yourself bleed. Let yourself
Yeah.
bleed and welcome it.
And and I'd also add everything you've said is so good. I'd also add like it's okay not to exercise today. If you are a mom who's like, I am on my health journey and I have to lose weight. It's okay. You do not have to exercise hard or at all during your bleed week. Like,
No.
let that go. And maybe wait for day 4 when you're like, I want to stretch.
Yep.
So
No, there are fun Instagram accounts, y'all. If you want to kind of search that on Instagram that really do like cycle workouts, like they really teach you how to work with a menstrual cycle. And I'm here for that. I think it's beautiful and amazing. And if you just start listening to yourself, it'll tell you, like it really will. But I think it's really beautiful. Yes, do not feel the pressure on day 1 to work out. Ugh, that's silly. Or if you do, take all the breaks, work out for like 5 minutes. I'm known
yeah,
to go to the gym and then like, yeah, it's like a, I don't know, bar class or something. And there's Lauren in the corner resting every 5 minutes, just doing a stretch, like lying down. I don't care. It's my body.
yeah. I love this conversation so much. I really hope that this is just eye-opening. Maybe if people are already thinking these things, it just gives them affirmation that they're on the right path. If you've never thought about these things before, I hope that you can just think more and be like, how can I just be more in my body as a menstruating person, as a woman, as a mom, and honor that for myself so that I can be the best version of myself possible.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's okay to learn new things. And the thing I would love to like say as I close this part is there's no need to feel shame that we didn't know this before. It's fine. It's fine. We get to learn new things. And one of my favorite phrases is we learn the things that we're supposed to learn when we're supposed to learn them. So
Yes.
maybe this was your day.
Yeah, whether you're 25 or you're 39 or you're 42, whatever age you're at, we're learning and growing and becoming more of who we're supposed to be. So, yay, this is great. To end our time, I have a question for you. What are you doing to enjoy your life this week?
Mm. I am taking pauses in between the things that I'm doing this week, like purposeful pleasure pauses. I had a break in between clients yesterday. I took myself on a drive and got a coffee. I am stretching my neck. I am doing little things. It's a busy week, but I am taking pauses wherever I can find them and like giggling with delight and then telling myself, good job. And it feels really fun. It feels silly and fun.
I love that. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. It's sex_ed_for_you. You can always go to my website, which is sexedforyou.com. And if you have any further questions or you want to work with someone like me, you can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and say that you heard me on Brittany's podcast and really want to know more. And we can chat from that place and book a 15-minute consult. It's completely free. We can talk about what you're looking for, but remember, you can look at the show notes and access the handout and yeah, may this be kind of the first step on your journey.
I love that. And your information is excellent. I really hope people will download it. So thank you, Lauren. I'm so glad to have you on today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Motherhood Metamorphosis. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. Next, tell your friends. Podcasts are a slow growth type of social media, so promo works best when it's from person to person. If you know another mom who's in the goop right now, send her a text of encouragement and the link to the episode that is speaking to your heart right now. If you have a story about your own matrescence, the physical, emotional, hormonal, and social transition that occurs when someone becomes a mother, please leave a comment below. I want this channel to be a place where women can build community about the challenges and joys of their own motherhood metamorphosis. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope it encouraged you and gave you some good food for thought. If you ever have any questions, comments, or you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can email me at brittanyaming@gmail.com.